As a young man, he was summoned to the wars. Spent his best years with blood on his hands.
Hey guys, it's HomoMoto. It's been a little while since I put a video out. Reason for that has been the weather has just been horrible here. If it's not for cold temperatures, it's raining like it is today. I bought another vehicle, another truck, so that's how I'm able to shoot today. Having just a bike was starting to be a little burdening, especially in the wintertime when it's raining or whatever. So I went ahead and made an investment and got another pickup truck. Bought a 97 Ford F-150. It's definitely a fixer-upper. When I first bought the thing, the windshield wipers didn't work, and we thought the motor was bad, but come to find out it wasn't the motor, it was the switch. We had changed out the motor. Come on now. We had changed out the motor and tried to turn it on and nothing happened. So that led us to believe it was probably the switch, and it was. So we tested the motor after the fact, and the motor was good. That's strange. This used to be my old house that the bank currently owns now, and there's someone in the driveway. But the bank still tells me I own it. It's crazy. I haven't had that house since October. I've been staying with my sister and her family, which is I'm very thankful for her for letting me do that, because otherwise I'd be in bad shape. The little bit of money I got coming in doesn't pay any of my bills. Oh, a couple things I want to talk to you about. I was back in the hospital again. Had another cardiac event. They don't know what caused this one. The heart rate accelerated. It was almost 200 beats a minute resting, and my blood pressure dropped down to 90/40. So needless to say, I got to spend a couple nights in the cardiac unit at the hospital. But the only thing they did was change my medication, and it seems to have helped. So hopefully that's all it is. Another thing, Sasquatch and I are going to be going back to the casino. It'll be the weekend of, I guess it'd be March 1st. So you guys will have some footage on that whenever I get around to getting it edited. And that will be a car vlog, because we always ride together. So I hope you can forgive me for that. Oh, let's go this way. I'm gonna go to the local flea market here and just hang out with my brother for a little bit. This is just kind of a random video. I also wanted to talk about the school shooting in Florida a little bit. I don't want to harp on gun control. I'm a big gun owner and everything, so my stance is pretty solid on ownership of firearms. But it does make one wonder if maybe we do need to have a little bit of restrictions. I don't know. I've got a AR-15 myself. Actually, mine is the M4 variant, and I do have 30 round mags for it, but it stays locked up and put up. The thing I wanted to talk about is, if you do have weapons like that, make sure they stay secured. I mean, that was 17 lives lost. It didn't have to be. A gun won't shoot itself. Without a person behind the sights and the trigger, a gun is nothing more than an inanimate object. We'll just call it a dangerous paperweight. The thing is, with that kid, he actually bought that gun legally, and that worries me, because I've been to the gun shop and I've seen people go in there buy guns that clearly they have something wrong with them. But first off, I'm not a cop anymore, and secondly, I never was what you'd call a profiler, so I have no right to judge anybody on whether or not they should have them. Now, there have been times I've been at the gun range and I've seen people with AR-15 style rifles, and they're just going nuts, sending way too many rounds down range way too fast. I mean, they're clearly not target shooting. You know, they're in it for the adrenaline. And I really think those are the wrong people to have those type of weapons. But if you're just at the range with a lot of families and stuff, you really don't need to be doing that. And most range rules won't allow it. There has to be a little pause between rounds. You can double tap, which is standard law enforcement training, but you can't just rapid fire a 30-round magazine out of an AR-15 and it'd be okay. But the range I go to is called Swan Creek. It's a little outdoor range that's run by the Fish and Game, and they're hardly ever out there. And the only thing you have to shoot out there is a fishing license. So theoretically, you could be out there with illegal weapons that you don't own and just blasting away, and you're not even supposed to have them. And that, you know, that really makes me wonder. There's been a few times that I've been at the range and I left because people just made me that uncomfortable. And you can see Burger King's flags flying half-mast. That's, you know, that's the thought across the country right now. It's just the lives lost. There was no sense in it. It hurts my heart. All these kids. I worry about my nephew going to school. You know, he goes to public school, and it just, I don't know, I'm scared. I really am. You know, I've thought about maybe talking to my family about to put him in private school or whatever, but you know, that kind of stuff can happen there too, especially in elementary school. You know, high schools have, around here, they have what they call resource officers. That's a cop inside the school, and that's an awesome program. That helps with drugs. It would help prevent shootings like the one that happened in Florida. But, you know, when you've got a school with over 3,000 students, I think there were close to 4,000 students, it's hard to prevent anything like that from happening with just one cop. But this kid got an AR-15 rifle inside of school. I don't get it. Maybe restricting a little bit would be a good idea, but also, you know, put armed security in these schools. And not only that, put metal detectors in there. I'm appalled at the fact that nobody does anything to prevent things like this, like security, metal detectors, things of that nature. But then when it happens, it's like, oh no, what are we going to do? We've had, I think they said 17, 18 school shootings this year already. And this is February. But you don't know what you're going to do. You better do something. Now, this is just going to keep happening. And restricting guns is not the way to do it, because I don't know if you realize this or not, everybody around here has firearms, and they have multiple firearms. And a lot of the people around here are into that panic mode. Well, they'll bury guns. So even if you go door to door collecting, which is illegal, you're not going to get them all. People's going to have them hidden in the yard, have them hidden in the forest. You're not going to get them all. And the people that want them are going to have them. Be it people that are currently legal or people that are illegal, gangbangers, robbers, street thugs, nutcases. They're already going to have them. So just banning them or trying to go door to door collecting them is not going to work. It's if anything, it's going to make the problem worse. I was watching a YouTube video, and I'm not going to put it up. This is just my thoughts. This isn't anything fancy. I mean, for God's sakes, I'm in my truck. But I have seen videos where you can make, I guess they would refer to it as a zip gun. That's what we used to refer to it as in law enforcement. Where you just take some gas piping and make, you know, couple pieces of pipe, get the diameter of a shotgun shell, and I'm not going to go any further on that because I don't want anyone making anything like this. It's real easy to make them. You know, and then people say ban ammunition. Do you realize how many reloaders there are out there? Banning guns is not going to work. An example, Chicago used to have the strictest gun laws in the nation. They also had the highest homicide rate and the highest amount of shootings in the country at the time that they had these gun restrictions. So clearly banning guns is not going to work. I don't know what is going to work, but I do know that we need to take precautions. And yes, I do carry, and I have one in my pocket right now. And am I a nutcase? No. Do you know that? No. For that reason, you know, I really think people should take the duty to arm themselves if you're mentally competent and legally able to have them. You know, and guns aren't the only means of protection. I've talked about this in previous videos. They make civilian models of the tasers, the ones that shoot the wires out, and, you know, it's connected to the unit. They make civilian models of those. And the civilian models actually shoot out confetti. And it has the serial number of the weapon in it. So you can't just go around popping people with it. For one, it's good for one shot. You can reload it, but it's kind of a pain and pretty expensive. But also, you got the confetti that just goes everywhere when you discharge this thing. So once you've discharged it, you have to register it before it'll even work. So once you discharge it, they know that which one it was and who owns it. So that's an ideal means of protection. You have what they call pepper blasters. These things shoot out little, like, paintballs full of pepper spray, powdered pepper spray. You know, I mean, there are means to protecting yourself that don't require firearms if you're that uncomfortable with firearms. I know a guy that keeps a flare gun in the door of his truck. I don't agree with that, but it's one of those situations where that's his right, so whatever. But I think people need to take a lot of this stuff a lot more serious than they have been. You know, protect your kids. Honestly, because of all this stuff, homeschooling is going up in popularity. So we'll see what happens with that. And I have a feeling that a lot of people's going to start resorting to homeschooling. Because if the schools can't protect your kids and they won't take steps to protect them, then why would you not want to do something like homeschooling to try to protect your children? Even in a quiet little town like mine, anything could happen at any given minute. I know that hopefully my nephew's safe in his school, but the junior high school I start kind of worrying about, but the high schools, that scares me. You know, and it's only going to get worse, so when my nephew does go to high school, you know, I'd like to be at some little place like maybe, oh God, I can't think of the name of the town. Garrison, Colorado, which I'm not even sure really exists. But some little place like that where you got 10 kids to a schoolroom. I don't know, it definitely decreases the chances of getting hurt with fewer people. But tell me your thoughts on what I've talked about. Let me know how you feel. And that's really all I've got for this one. I love y'all, and roll tide.
I was a storm and I passed right over you, and I tried to eclipse the sun in the hopes that you love the tumult and spray in your face, and the sky broken by you.